Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining. I think we're going to have a great time. If you can hear me, just want to test out the Q&A, just go ahead and write if you can hear me or not in the Q&A. Sweet. Okay, great. Well, we will go ahead and get started. For those of you who don't know, my name is Jared Orkin. I'm an account executive here at Adbeat, and today I'm going to show you how agencies use Adbeat to exceed their clients' expectations. So I think you are all going to learn a lot. Let's get started. If you have any questions, type it into the Q&A. If I don't get to it, I will get to it at the end of the webinar. So let's take a quick look at our agenda. First, we're going to see which of your clients' competitors have the largest upward and downward shift in spend and impressions over the past few months in movers and shakers. And this will narrow down the advertisers that are important to look into and learn from. And we'll pick a competitor from that list and move on to advertiser analysis. So if I was preparing an RFP or heading into a meeting with a client, this is the section I would pay very close attention to. From there, we'll move on to market discovery, where I'm going to show you how to discover other competitors in the same industry and take advantage of their strategy. We will then take those competitors and plug them into our compare tool to analyze further opportunities to scale our clients' budgets, provide them with really cool reports, and overall show them they are our priority. And then finally, of course, we'll have a Q&A session at the end where I'll be happy to answer any questions you have about the presentation. As I said, please go ahead and write your questions in the Q&A so you don't forget them. I'm just going to go check the Q&A real quick. Okay, great. All right, so before we start looking at our data, I wanted to give you a little background on how we gather it. It's a huge question that we get. So Adbeat has really broad and deep coverage when it comes to display advertising. We have data for 26 different countries and all the ad networks that are important right now. We regularly update our data every 48 hours. And all of this is important because we always want to make sure you're using the best data set possible when doing competitive research. So I'm going to jump into the Q&A real quick. I see some questions. Yep, I'll get to everybody shortly. So let's go ahead and jump right into the platform. One of the questions that a client might ask you is which of my competitors are scaling their spend or impressions and how are they doing it? So to help answer this question, I first like to use our movers and shakers tool over here, because this gives me a great overview of all the competitors in my client's category. So movers and shakers instantly shows which categories, advertisers, campaigns, and creatives are breaking out in higher or lower spends and impressions. And we'll use Hulu as our example client for this webinar. So we'll go ahead and click on categories up here. We'll click on art, entertainment, and then we'll click on movies and TV, because this is the category that most relates to, or directly relates to Hulu. And then I'm going to go ahead and change this from weekly to monthly just to give me a bigger data set. And here we can see the advertisers with the largest shift in spend. And this is great. There's a bunch of competitors in here that we can analyze, but my client wants to see top campaigns that have increased their spend compared to the month prior. So we click on campaigns. We can see it looks like Hulu is dominating with traffic to maybe these TV shows or movies. Netflix is also on there with some pretty high spend and some other competitors in here. And if we do a quick look at creatives, we can see that there's some pretty heavy competition in here as well, and nice insights we can learn from. Looks like Vimeo, CBS, Netflix as well, and our client Hulu. So by taking a few minutes, movers and shakers helped us identify advertisers, creatives, and campaigns that seem to be doing pretty well. And sharing this information with our client is a big deal because they can't get these insights anywhere else. So now with more people staying home, Netflix and other competitors are trying to capitalize on that and gain more market share while people have a bigger need for this type of service. So let's see what Netflix is up to. We're going to use them as our competitor. I'm going to go ahead and type them in up here. So now we moved on to advertiser analysis, and we can see that Netflix is spending millions on display advertising, making them one of the top movie and TV streaming businesses. And our client's goal here, Hulu's goal, is to learn how Netflix is spending those ad dollars to drive such a large subscriber base. So let's dive in. The first thing I want to make sure of is that we're looking at the last 90 days of data, so we can only focus on the spend and impressions during the last 3 months. And I can see that their top network is YouTube here, but they're also running on DV360, which tells me their main focus is definitely video ads. Looks like they had a lot of direct buy as well, so we can look into that. And I also want to see when Netflix is scaling up or pulling back their ad spend and impressions. So let's smooth out this graph and let's change it from day to week. So if I hover over some of this graph here, I can see which devices they're targeting. And it turns out a majority of their spend looks like iPhone for this week was 911K, Android 1.6 million. So this is telling me that they are really going hard on mobile. And it probably means that mobile is doing really well for them right now. So as I review Netflix, I'm going to just filter on mobile to see how the data changes. So let's go ahead and look at their creatives. So we're going to click on mobile devices since they're focused on mobile, and we're going to look at video because they have these video ads had the largest spend for Netflix in the last 90 days. And something to note here is that all of these video ads over here are all organized by ad spend. And if you're a creative agency, then this is a great view to see what Netflix is up to. But I also like to look at the data behind the creative, so we can either click on an ad here to learn more about it. We can watch the video play. We can download the ad, or we can save it to our ad locker for our clients to look at later. Or we can change this view over here by clicking on the grid view, list view. And we can learn about the different landing pages Netflix is split testing. And typically, the one that has more spend converted better. So that's definitely something I'm going to take a look at and send to my clients. You can go through all these creatives, take a look at all their different landing pages they're sending traffic to. And you can also download them as well directly to an Excel file. And from here, I want to know what sites their top spending creative is running on. So if we go ahead and click on publishers, there are a lot of publishers in here. It looks like YouTube is number one. But what's really cool and something that nobody else offers is by clicking on channels over here, we can actually see the top YouTube channels they're targeting. And this is really valuable on a creative level because you can now use this information when setting targeting on your YouTube campaigns or understanding the demographic this creative is meant for. So since Netflix is such a large advertiser, we want to head to campaigns next to see a breakout of the campaigns they are running and look for the ones that are most interesting to my client. So if we click on campaigns over here, and a campaign is a group of ads all directing to the same landing page. And all we have to do is click on one and we'll be able to see their entire media mix. So let's click on this Thomas and Friends one. We can see that they only advertised on YouTube. Looks like, again, mobile was 2.5 times, almost 3 times more than desktop. You can see the breakout by device. You can also look at all the creatives just like we did for Netflix as a whole and publishers too. So the last thing I want to cover on the advertiser profile is how to find out the publishers Netflix is running on. So if we go back to Netflix over here, and I'm super interested in this because the publisher section is actually showing me where their ads are being shown and the audience they are showing them to. So let's click on publishers, and immediately, there are sites that I expect to see, like IMDb, which makes sense because people are on these sites. They're looking up their favorite movies. They're watching trailers. It's a perfect time to place an ad for a Netflix series to attract people to their platform. But this is also pretty interesting. They have CNN, World Star on here as well. So this tells me that they are targeting standard reference and news sites. So they're reaching a broader audience. And it's possible that direct buy that you saw for the top networks is going on to this World Star hip hop. Let's take a look. So if we change this to the last 90 days, yeah, so we can see that that new direct buy placement we saw in the beginning for Netflix is just for, looks like this TV show, so Project Power. So they're going and spending a lot on World Star right now. And if we clicked on top placement URLs, we can actually see where in World Star that they're actually placing their ads. So it's going to give you even more information about their targeting. So one other cool thing that we could do though is if we wanted to grab this entire list of publishers, there's a lot of pages down here that have tons of publishers on them. We can click on this download button right here and target the same sites on their network just by downloading to a CSV, reaching out to our rep on that network and say, hey, we want to target these sites as well. This is going to save us a lot of time. So let's figure out what we've learned so far. Movers and shakers, it's a great place to learn about which advertisers in the marketplace are scaling their spend. Netflix was a great example of that. So we reviewed their profile and learned their top 2 networks are video focused, YouTube and DV360. And Netflix is also advertising 3 times more on mobile devices than desktop. They're targeting specific YouTube channels that relate to their audience of the series they are promoting, and their top publishers directly relate to the movie and TV category. So since my client is a direct competitor, I have more than enough insights from this data to pass along to my client and my other team members. But I now want to learn about who are my top competitors and how can I compare them all as a group. So I know Netflix is doing well, but there's a lot of other players in the space. And then in this case, it's probably obvious who Hulu's competitors are. But sticking to our example, I'm going to show you how to find other competitors in your category. So just by heading over to similar profiles in Netflix advertiser profile here, I can see a list of advertisers that are similar or competitors to Netflix. And now this is great because if I have an advertiser I'm not familiar with, I can come to this section and say, oh, hey, here's 3 or 4 advertisers that are competitors or similar to this client. I don't have to do any Googling or digging around to find who the competitors are. And then I can go ahead and just click into the advertiser, anyone that I want, and see what they're advertising, see what creatives they have, see what publishers they have, and get all of those insights. So the second method is to head over to the top advertisers page here. And this is really cool because we have it all grouped by category. So if we go to movies and TV, if we go to entertainment and movies and TV, we can see all the advertisers in this category. Everybody from the Slings, Netflix, Showtime, CBS, and of course you can go page by page here and see other advertisers. You can also create a report, download this entire list to a CSV or a PDF. This is extremely helpful. And so the third method to find other competitors is how we started. It's in the movers and shakers section, but let's go ahead and take 4 competitors and to Netflix. So we'll use HBO, Showtime, NBC, and add on our client Hulu, and head on over to tools over here. We're going to click on our compare tool. So this is going to let us analyze 5 advertisers and compare them against each other. And all we have to do is enter all 5 right here. I've actually already done it and created the group. So here is our competitive set, and here is our client. And Adbeat instantly shows us how we are spending over time on this graph here. So just by moving your mouse, you can see the comparisons with each advertiser. And this is really helpful because I can just log in and get a quick look on who is scaling or pulling back their spend without having to go into each advertiser's profile page. If I wanted a good indication of who has the most unique creatives and what they are, I would scroll down to here. I can see the data right here and see how many unique creatives each advertiser has. And my client is always asking me who has the largest share of voice. So to answer that question, we just scroll down and can hover over that here. So all this data is really great, but my client needs it in a report. We need to turn this data into insights. So all I have to do is click on the Create Report button, and you can create this into a PDF or a deck. And I highly recommend doing a deck because if you're sharing this with your client, everything is drag and drop. It's extremely easy. We take all the work and we've done it for you. So it takes just 30 seconds to generate this report. And I'm going to actually show you what this report looks like because it is really cool and it can definitely help scale your clients' budgets. So I'm going to go ahead and download this here. So you can see the advertisers we're comparing, and all this data is really, really important. But most important for our client is to understand how we can scale their budgets. What publishers are they missing out on, right? So if we just go ahead and scroll through some of this report here and go all the way to the bottom, we can actually see the top shared publishers between our client Hulu and all of their competitors. So this is extremely important, and it's one of my favorite reports in Adbeat. All of our clients love this report because you can see here, Hulu, we're not advertising in Daily Mail, we're not advertising on Reddit, CNBC, WorldStar, and several others down here, but you can see our competitive set, a lot of them are advertising on it. And so this is a really easy way, I can't stress this enough, to just run this report and just quickly see, some of the top publishers here. Where are you missing out on? Where can you get scale for your clients? Where can you increase budget? Most of those answers are right in this report. So let's review now what we've just learned. So we figured out our clients' top competitors by 3 different methods. We looked at similar profiles. We took a look at the top advertisers category view. We looked at movers and shakers. And we learned how to see a custom set of competitors are scaling their spend and impressions. And we also learned how to find publishers our clients are not spending on so we can scale their budgets. And with these insights, we're ready to answer any questions our clients have about their competitors, but we're ready to share new insights they never thought were possible to know. So I want to finish with the Q&A from that overview that we just did. So if you want to go ahead and type in some questions, I think the first question somebody asked early on was, is there any way to set notifications? So if a client's competitor is launching a new campaign or a network, so you can. I'm going to go back and show you how to do that. So this is really cool. If we go back to, let's use Netflix, and we're going to click this follow button here. And anytime that Netflix comes out with a new ad, a new campaign, new publisher, and you can click into here and you can even set this campaign, it exceeds $1,000 of spend, $5,000 of spend. The campaign has a flight of 30 days. Whatever settings you want to put in here, you can get an alert for. And this is really helpful. So you don't have to log into Adbeat every day. Excuse me, you can get the alerts emailed to you either daily or weekly as well. So the next question is, what was the graph next to WorldStar showing? If we go down to publishers, So we're going to change this last 30 days. So this is showing here the frequency in which we were picking up these creatives being advertised on WorldStar. And so it looks like they just launched this campaign. So this is, a brand new campaign on WorldStar right now. It's just seen for one day. Let's see, other questions you have. If our client wanted to see just the native ads, how would we do that and how do we export that? It's a great question. So if we go to native here, that's how you see just native ads. And you can see all the ads here. We can switch it just to list view. You can see it was on Outbrain. And if you click on the download button, you can download this to a PDF, CSV, or you can just zip all the creatives at once. Let me see. How far does this scale down? Can I, for example, see a local car dealership's ad run? If they are, sure, if they're running on any of the 100 networks that we cover, most likely you'll be able to see the ad. Let's take a look. How good is the data coverage outside the US? It's a great question. So with the countries that we have here, our data is actually second to none. I'm pretty sure we have the most countries out of any other tool out there for display, native, and pre-roll combined. And yeah, you can pretty much go to any other country here. I'll show you an example. If we go to Germany, we can see some of the top advertisers spending in Germany right now. And you can do this for any country, or you can search for an advertiser in a specific country as well. And as long as they're spending on display, we most likely will have the data on them. Do the creative reports include the landing page URL? Yeah, in the CSV, they do include the landing page URL. What other types of reports can you get? Yeah, so we have a few different types of reports. So if you're in the advertiser profile page, if you just wanted to export everything here, you just click Create Report button, and you can export everything you see here for Netflix, every page that we covered, into a PDF, PowerPoint, or a CSV. I think I have one actually that's made. Let me take a look. No, so we can show you here what it looks like. Create report. We'll do a PDF. We'll do the last 30 days. You can see it's going to include ad spend and impressions. I'll let that report load for a second. Can you go over movers and shakers again? Yes. So if we click on movers and shakers, this is really great for general research by industry. If we clicked on category here, you can actually see the categories making the biggest upward moves here. And you can see the percent change and the dollar change. You can also see the downward movers too. So let's say you're interested in seeing the advertisers that are scaling up, as we pull out of the pandemic. It's extremely easy to do. You can see it by week or by month. You can also change this from direct and indirect to maybe just YouTube, if you're only interested in video. You can see the advertisers there. Can we run a report for just specific platforms? For example, can we do a report for mobile but not display? Yes. So if we go back to Netflix and you create the report here, all you have to do is change this to the device type you want, or all mobile, or just desktop, and you'll be able to export the report in that specific device type. Let's check on our report. Looks like it's done already. So we click download. And we can see this is the advertiser overview report for Netflix. It's going to go over spend, impressions. Everything's already pre-filled out. The work is completely done for you. All you have to do is drag and drop into your presentation to your client. And here's just a preview really of what it covers. And there's other really cool reports in here. One of my other favorite reports is the ad spend report. So all you do is you go to the advertiser profile, you click on this download button, and it actually shows you the ad spend by day, week, or month, and by network. So that's extremely helpful to have in a CSV. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Can you filter data by city or state? So if we scroll down in Netflix and geographical markets, you can see the geo by city here for Netflix, and you can see the spend associated by city. And you can even drill down a little bit further, and you can even do it by network if you wanted to. Do you have data or suggestions for the B2B companies typically doing greater than 2 million annual sales? My suggestion would be one of two things. The first is to find the category that the B2B advertiser is in. So mainly it's in business and industrial, and it can be in any one of these categories here. And then after you find the advertiser you're interested in that's B2B, you can go ahead and click on one and go to the similar profiles like we did for Netflix. I'll show you an example. I'll just do this advertiser, and we click on similar profiles, and here's a way to find other advertisers that are similar. And you can always export that category report that I just showed you for business and industrial, and you can export that to a CSV, and you can always just filter on ad spend. So if you're looking for just greater than 2 million, that's one way of doing it. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Is there a way to search by a specific keyword? Yes. So if we go open our search term box up here, so this is really cool. If we type in, let's just do movies. This is going to show you all of the creatives that have the phrase, oops. If we type in movies, we're going to be brought to the top ads page, and we're going to see all the creatives with the phrase movies on the actual creative itself, and all the advertisers here that have the phrase movie in them. So this is just another way to find more information about maybe a phrase or an advertiser or category. So wow, spending $500,000 on this creative over here. Movies anywhere. And you can always click on the landing page, learn about it. Is it a lead form, or is it just straight to sign up? No subscription fees, it looks like. That's one way of searching. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Can you search by publisher and see all of the advertisers running on that publisher? Yes. So if we type in, let's say MSN, and we click on them as a publisher here, you can see it's a universal search, so you can look at it by advertiser, publisher, keyword, and network. But if we choose MSN.com as a publisher, you can see all of the advertisers that are spending on MSN.com. So let's say your client, is Hulu, and they want to only run on certain publishers, but they want it to be brand appropriate. So they can go ahead and click on that publisher and see all the other advertisers spending on that brand right now. Is Adbeat mostly for native ads, or is there Google Ads data here too? So if we click on top advertisers, you can actually see all the networks that we have. So we have 100+ networks. We do have, I think about 18 or 20 native networks, but we have YouTube and hundreds of thousands of publishers for regular, programmatic display advertising that we crawl every single day. And of course, we have pre-roll, tens of thousands of publishers that have pre-roll ads that we capture. So native is definitely a part of the data set that we have. Let's see, is there any other questions? I think that might be it. Is there anybody else that has any other questions on here? Give you another minute or two. Type those in. What if I wanted to start with the network Outbrain? How would I go deep to find out what campaigns are doing the best right now? Great question, Robert. If we click on all networks and we click on Outbrain down here, we can go the last 30 days. We can see all the advertisers that are spending on Outbrain right now. So you can go into any one of these advertisers and see what they're up to. Let's see, oh, there's more questions in here. How would you use Adbeat to generate traffic to an affiliate site? Well, what I would do is I would look at other affiliate sites that are similar, and then I would maybe identify the top performing creatives in Adbeat and publishers and test those out, and with a test budget and drive traffic to that site that way. Take a look at the landing pages the affiliate site is running as well. You know, you can go through the entire funnel from the creatives, publishers, and landing pages. You can see all of that in Adbeat. How far back can you see historical data for competitor spends and campaigns? You can go back the last two. Adbeat has data for the last 2 years. Let's see. Oh, and the second part of this question is campaign and spend data 100% accurate, or is there a 5 to 10% margin for error? It's impossible to be 100% accurate. There's always going to be a margin for error. The more cookie-based or DMA-based targeting it is, the harder it is to pick up. Oh, you got some new questions. Is there a free version of Adbeat? There is on our homepage, adbeat.com. You can see we have a free tool that's really awesome to use. And then you can do some searching on there and get some examples of what's working. Let's see, what else? Okay, we'll leave it for 1 or 2 more questions left. What categories do you have available? Sure, so if we go back here, we can even stay on Outbrain if you want to. You can take a look at some of the categories we have. So if you are an agency working with automotive brands and you want to see what they're doing on native, all you have to do is you can click on Outbrain here and click on all native networks. We can click on automotive and vehicles. And then we can choose, let's choose vehicle brands. And you can see all of the brands here advertising on native. But if you wanted to see specifically the native networks they're advertising on without clicking through to each one, we can change this from all native to all by native networks. So you can see Nativo, Columbia, Gemini, and other networks here. And then all you have to do is click into one and you can see the top networks for that advertiser. Let's see, what are the questions? Can you go over what you have in the tools? Again, sure. So if we click on tools over here, so we have a lot of different types of reports in here. This vertical report allows you to compare 3 advertisers at once and really just hand deliver this to a client. It compares them against each other instead of with each other. So the compare tool will compare them, what they're doing together, and this will compare them against what they're doing in the same vertical. And the top advertisers by country, region, and DMA will show you the top advertisers in that specific DMA. And here you can see the full list of categories that we have available. And all you have to do is click on one and you can see the top advertisers in that category. Okay, any last questions before we wrap up? I think that might be it. So, uh, yeah, thank you so much for everyone for joining the webinar today. If you guys have any other questions about what we covered, feel free to just email me at jared@adbeat.com. I'm happy to answer any questions that I didn't get to today. If you want your own demo of Adbeat, if you want me to run through the tool with you personally, go ahead and reach out to me. We can set up a call. We can do that. Or if you have any questions on if you're already a client, how you can help scale your clients' budgets, happy to run through that with you as well. But thank you everyone for taking 40 minutes out of your day today, and I really appreciate it. So I hope everyone else has a great rest of your day. Thank you.